So yeah, okay, great. Let's look at the balance patch here, and then dive into some games afterwards. But yeah, it should be kind of cool. There's some nice stuff in here, and some fairly big changes, and some expected changes too. So we'll see, and some crazy stuff. First of all, though, call for help. Towers, forts, and keeps are doing 10% less damage to heroes, so that's pretty good. And the maximum armor reduction from structures has gone from -40 to -20, so they're just making this towers a lot less strong against heroes. They were a bit too strong, so they've kind of toned that down, which I think is probably overall a good change. Looking at tanks, then we have a Nubkeks. His hardened carapace's W shield increased by about 10%, so that's quite nice for his survivability, and leeching scarabs has been slightly buffed as well. So I think these are nice changes to Nubkeks overall. I'm personally a big fan of Nubkeks. I think he's quite strong. But yeah, apparently his win rate was low, so this will help with that, so that seems good. Stitches, again, pretty weak hero overall. He's seeing some buffs here as well. So again, the two low win rate tanks just getting some mild buffs to their base survivability. And then Chop Chop is also being buffed. Hitting an enemy hero with Slam gives 25% attack speed for 3 seconds. Double the attack speed bonus and duration if they're hit by the inner impact area of Slam. So 50% for 6 seconds. That's actually pretty good. So we'll see how Stitches does. Oh, and also Tyrael, again, another one of the weaker tanks, but for him, they are just touching up some of these more niche talents here. Basically, for the most part, the basic attack talents and the smite talents. So there's, you know, instead of saying that the basic attack build sucks, they're talking about, it's like, say that, but in another way, change the target at 1 talent to even them out. Lovely. Mostly basic attack and smite talents, though. All right, over in support, the sort of redundant hero role, but hey, it's still there. We have the Lost Vikings actually seeing a lot of changes to their talent. So Olaf the Stout is going to increase Olaf's health by 20%. Spy Games is going to give Eric 75% basic attack damage for 6 seconds, and Viking Bribery will no longer make camps respawn faster. So just trying to, I think, definitely, obviously, even out that talent here a bit, so it's not just all about the bribes. Level 7, Balog the Fierce is a new talent, and completely changed, which increases Balog's attack range by 2.5. That's pretty good. Balog is the one who throws the swords that cleave, but he's got pretty short range, so that's pretty good. While near Olaf and Eric, he becomes inspired by the power of teamwork, and his attack speed's increased by 50%. So that's pretty nice. Spin to win, the damage has gone down, but it deals double damage against enemy heroes, so much better in the team fights. It was already pretty good. Not as good against, you know, merc camps and waves and stuff like that. And then Norse Force, which was, I think it gives them a shield. That's cool. Cooldown has been halved, which is a really big buff. Level 10 then, Longboat Raid, more health. And it's going to have even more health per Viking in there, so it's going to be a lot tankier. And Play Again has been nerfed from 80 to 100 seconds. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I kind of like this change. I'd like to dive in. I pretty much always just run Play Again. It's just useful for soaking, and it's just really useful as well for even flanking the enemy team. You know, like you can have Eric, who's the small little quick guy. You can get him in behind the enemy team while you're soaking the other 2 lanes with the other 2 guys. And when your teammates start the fight, you can Play Again and just summon all your guys in and dive their backline. It can catch people by surprise. That sort of thing. Then Nordic Attack Squad changed from a W to a passive talent with new functionality. While Olaf, Balog, and Eric are near each other, while they're near each of the other Vikings, their basic attacks deal bonus damage equal to 1.25% maximum health to enemy heroes. That's really good as well. So instead of taking jump, you could take this, and that makes them quite a potent attacking force. So yeah, really nice. I think the Lost Vikings have been sort of sat there ignored for the longest time. So it's nice to see them actually finally get some attention. They're probably the least played hero in the game. So yeah, nice to see them finally get some love. So there you go. I think they're good and interesting changes overall. So Lost Vikings finally seeing some love. In the healers, Morales getting some minor changes. Trauma trigger, cooldown reduced. Physical therapy cooldown increased, or cooldown reduction, excuse me, increased. That's a buff. Healing of Medidrone has been increased, and first responder bonus energy requirement. I think that's why you're at high energy, so it's now over 60 instead of over 70. So minor, but there you go. Rhaegar is gonna get buffed again, because of course he is. After 1.5 seconds, ancestral healing will cast a second time on the same target for the full effect, and allies near the target are healed. I don't know if this heal will affect the first cast or just that second recast, but Rhaegar being the best healer right now, glad to see him get some buffs. So well, just a buff. It's only level 20, but you know, and I suppose a lot of his power is coming from Bloodlust, and the Bloodlust level 20, but still, like, ridiculous. Sharonda is getting a lot of changes. This one is pretty interesting. Like, a lot of stuff here. Lots of talents being moved around. So Ranger's coming to level 1 from level 4. It just makes Sentinel, her Owl, her W, Pierce, the first enemy hero hit. Lunar Blaze is coming from level 4, so I think that's the stacking damage on her her E, on her stun. And True Shot Aura is coming from 4 as well. So level 1 is quite different in a damage focused tier. At level 4, it's going to be a healing one. So Lune's Chosen, Mark of Mending, and Everlasting Light, all going from level 1 up to level 4. So kind of interesting little swap there. Level 7 then, Huntress's Fury. Trait now has an adjusted functionality. Basic attacks only splash nearby enemy heroes. That's a bummer, because I really enjoyed that. That was where you mark something with your Hunter's Mark, and if you attacked it, it would make everything splash. So you could do some really funny stuff with it. But it will give you cooldown reduction to Light of a Loon. They'll splash nearby heroes, so it's going to be better in combat against heroes and team fights, but it's not going to let you just insta clear waves anymore, which was kind of fun and ridiculous and nobody expected about Sharonda, so I'm a little sad that's gone, but oh well. And then Darnasian Archery, the duration has been reduced from 6 to 4 seconds, but it no longer loses the bonus attacking non-heroes, so you can keep the stacks rolling much more easily. So yeah, I think a few little changes here to Sharonda. Kind of interesting they swapped the talent tiers. I mean, it only affects level 1 to 4 anyway, but there you go. So that's Sharonda. And then Uther, this one is a bit of a crazy one. Hopefully this doesn't break the game. Yes. Bulwark of Light. Divine Shield is also applied to all nearby heroes near its initial targets and lasts 1 second longer. And they've also made Divine Protection even better. So Uther level 20 is an absolute monster. I am extremely excited to try some organized team games with or to see what people can do. The ridiculousness of giving absolutely everybody on your team a 1 second longer Divine Shield. Fun stuff. So there you are. Oh man, it's ridiculous. Yeah, Sharonda's changed all the time. Yeah, she's one of the most changed heroes for sure. Whitemane has some changes as well. So Saintly Greatstaff is coming to level 7 from level 13. I think that's the basic attack one, I think. Scarlet Wrath is moved from level 7 to 13, so they've swapped, which will now also lower Zeal's cooldown by 1 second, which is the thing you can activate to give spell power, and lower her armor. Imagine Bloodlust and Group Divine Shield. Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Just this invulnerable, bloodlusted army just crashing down on top of you. Terrifying thought. And very real possibility. Could actually work really well. Righteous Flame, new functionality. Increase the damage of Searing Lash 25%. If the second strike hits an enemy hero, bonus damage increased to 50%, and it gives her increased attack speed. So the idea here is to give her something that works with the basic attack build, I think, from the start. So that's kind of cool. Because otherwise, the basic attack build didn't really have anything at 1. So there you are. Then Radiance, additional functionality. If Zeal is cast while Whitemane has 3 stacks of Desperation, instead of reducing her armor, it instead increases her armor. That's a pretty small thing, but that's kind of nice. So kind of fun. Obviously, it makes it difficult to capitalize on the bonus spell power, but you could cast the bonus spell power just as your Desperation stacks are about to run out, and then you could blast, and maybe that would work. Certainly an interesting idea. And Melee Assassins, though, Kira gonna get some buffs to her health and health regen, which is awesome. And then a bunch of talent changes as well. So Fatal Wounds, this is the one for the bleeds. The bonus damage to heroes below half health has been reduced from 40 to 30% on the bleed, so nerfing that one down, but they've buffed the basic attack one to compensate. Ensnaring Swing, which is actually, I think, pretty good, is now pretty nice as well. So while you're swinging around anyone, it lowers the, I don't think it lowers the speed of people that you hit. Maybe it does, I can't remember now, but the primary target slow is going to be 40%, which is pretty nifty. So that's actually better than I think than people expect. Unrelenting Strikes got a big buff here. The cooldown's gone down, the mana cost has gone down, and the final stun duration has gone up. Now, obviously, it's hard to do this, but yeah. The patch, no new heroes, no new heroes. Silent Killer, you're no longer going to silence heroes on the initial cast, so that sucks. But enemy heroes, this is even better. Enemy heroes who are hit by it are silenced for half a second, so constantly reapplying, which is kind of insane. And Swing Life Away also got buffed, more cooldown reduction while you're swinging, and it also gives you 2.5 seconds of spell armor. So I think this is actually really good now. So yeah, like basic attack, yeah, it's kind of cool. I like it. This is a massive buff. Like, this is absolutely huge that you're constantly silencing people. That's insane. So that's a massive level 20 power spike for Kira. Zeratul, Gift of Zelnaga removed. I think that was buffing the Void Prison. I don't remember. Nexus Blades is also gone. The new talent, Unwavering Pressure. Basic attacks against enemy heroes who are marked or slowed by Singularity Spike reduce the cooldown of Singularity Spike by 1.25 seconds. I mean, maybe. Hey Anadin. And then there's Shadow Stride, which reduces the cooldown of Vorpal Blade by 10 seconds. It's very hard. Like, I mean, you can still upgrade your whatever your reset talent. So that's obviously, I think, way better than these, no question. It's just way too good. But if you're going for Void Prison, then maybe you could do something with these. I don't know. I'll have to see. They seem a little underwhelming to me compared to you just like reset your stuff. I'm pretty sure that Gift of the Zelnaga was for Void Prison. I get, yeah. It'd be kind of crazy. Like Twilight Falls, yeah. Twilight Falls and Shadow Mending. I think that Twilight Falls and Shadow Mending are still better. They're removing the two options that people have been using and adding talents that should be more viable. I still feel like these two seem much better than this, but we'll see. We'll see. Okay, in Ranged Assassin, shocker of shockers, Cassia getting buffed. There we go. So more health regen, more basic attack damage, more basic attack speed, more Q damage, lower Q mana cost. Avoidance works while mounted, so you can start off the fight with avoidance charged up. And just the functionality, if you stand still for almost a second, the armor rapidly decays over half a second. So no longer instantly losing it. I think that the time until it drops off is a little bit more forgiving as well. So all in all, a very nice improvement to just the basic Cassia stuff. In terms of talents then, Thunderstroke, they've upped the damage for stacking the quest, but you don't get the avoidance armor. I think that's fine. They changed the name Debilitating Thrusts to Grounding Rod, which is much more cool. And there's a new functionality that enemies hit by Lightning Fury or Fend are slowed by 20% for 2 seconds. So it's no longer all about Fend. It affects Q as well, so I think that's pretty nice. Giving some love to the Q build there as well. And then Martial Law. Basic attacks against enemy heroes do 1% max health as damage. Pretty shit, but increase to 3% against heroes who are stun, rooted, and slowed. So I was complaining, for example, about this, that it used to only do this bit. So I was complaining that it feels really bad. You've got no real way to apply slow just by default. There's no easy way to apply slow with Cassia's kit. At the time, the only way to apply a slow really was with Fend, with this. So now that they've made it so that it always gives you something, and I guess actually Grounding Rod over here is going to give you an easy way with the Qs to apply slows and to proc this as well. So I think very nice changes, just like sensible changes, making avoidance less punishing, really upping her basic damage and survivability, avoidance a lot more usable, and then yeah, giving her more ways to apply slows and stuff, so buffs to her basic attack build that way too, so that's good. And then Genji, small buffs to his health and regen, though they have increased the cooldown of his cyber agility, so his little jumpy thing. Though they've, to compensate, they've made agile dismount now give 14 seconds of cooldown reduction, which is hilarious. Augmented guard, more shield from damage blocked while you're deflecting. Cyber shield now gives 4 seconds of spell armor, so I think that's a kind of nifty little combo there. And X-Strike also got buffed, so I'm kind of excited to do like go back to like a Q build Genji and try that, using agile dismount to like jump in, get in position to start blasting some shotgun Qs, and then you'll have another cyber agility in the fight. And now the cyber shield, you have lots of spell armor, so I think that could work. And you combat that with X-Strike, which went from 80 to 60 seconds, so that's really good. And mana cost goes down. That is cool. Living Weapon, I think, considering you lost 20 seconds, like this is just a buff overall. Living Weapon's even better now, so you're gonna be spamming some X-Strikes potentially at level 20 for some really godly plays in those 1 out of 10 situations where it actually works properly, where it works out as you envision. You know, it's like you gotta have that highlight clip that is not representative of realistic situations, but then defines how people see the hero. new talent, Way of the Shimada, increases Genji's basic attack range by 1. Each time Genji hits an enemy hero with a basic attack, and again, he shoots 3 at once. Increases basic attack damage by 1% for 3 seconds, stacking up to 15%. So after 5 basic attack, like flurries, he should be 15% more basic attack damage. So that's kind of interesting and kind of cool. I'm intrigued to see if that one is actually good or not. Certainly more attack range is intriguing, because I think they lowered his attack range maybe not recently, but in one of the many nerf patches to Genji, which has successfully brought him to be the lowest win rate hero in the entire game in ranked play. It's good that he's seeing some love again. Poor Genji. Gul'dan, Q damage up very slightly, 5%. Curse of Exhaustion, the slow has gone down, but no longer requires enemies to be afflicted by corruption for the bonuses to take effect. That's pretty good, actually. That's actually pretty huge. So I think that it used to only work if they're afflicted by the corruption dot. Now I think it's just whenever you drain life, they're afflicted by this. So that's a huge, huge buff. And Dark Bargain, additional respawn time has been reduced. I think he gets more max health with longer respawn. That's kind of hilarious. Hanzo then, Dragon Strike got buffed. Mounted Archery, reduce the cooldown of summon mount by 2 seconds. Absolute game changer here. You can mount up way more often than other people. Wow, exciting. And then Flawless Technique, Stormbone basic attack damage bonuses increase from 30 to 40%. So buffs to Hanzo. I think Dragon Strike is actually pretty legit now. It's been buffed a few times now, and especially at level 20, it gets kind of insane. Hanzo's a tricky one. I feel like in the hands of a skilled player, Hanzo is already amazing. I just feel like he is obviously pretty much everything he does is a skill shot. So I think his win rate was lower because of that. But I don't know that his low win rate is necessarily a problem. I'd be a bit concerned about... I'm always going to be a little bit concerned about seeing buffs to Hanzo, because I think he is still a phenomenal hero at higher levels of play, where people like Hanzo mains can actually maximize the use of him. But anyway. Then Raynor, Exterminator has been nerfed. Bonus damage to minions, mercs, and monsters from 75 to 50%. It was just too good, apparently. And then Tracer rework. So they've lowered the healing from her basic attacks from 15 to 10%. Honestly, I'd prefer they just remove this and give her some health regen. I feel like it's really pointless. Like, it just, to me, it does not feel very worthwhile. You know, like 10% healing from basic attacks is so low. Like, you kind of still feel like you should be playing around it, but it doesn't feel that impactful to play around it. Honestly, just remove it and make it passive health regen, and it's just less clutter, honestly. Level 13, Untouchable. So this was obviously completely overpowered, so it's good that they're nerfing it, sort of. It no longer increases her blink range, because that was a good idea. But after using blink, her movement speeds increased by 20% for 2 seconds. And then, of course, this also gives you stacking basic attack damage up to, I think, 30% bonus. I think they should nerf that to like 20%, and it resets when you die. I think it's probably going to still be too good. And then they buffed Telefrag, which was absolutely awful. I think it's still pretty bad, to be honest. But there you are. And then Sagara, attack range bonus for Jagged Barbs has been increased from 10 to 20%. So that's kind of cool. And there you go. That's, I mean, there's some bug fixes and stuff, but I don't really care too much about that. But there you go. So nice little tweaks on the whole. I think for the most part, a decent patch. This does seem maybe a bit insane. And Rhaegar buff feels bad. But Vikings, some nice tweaks to Vikings, some nice little buffs to some of the lesser seen tanks, some Sharonda tweaks. Kira buffs are cool. The Cassia buffs very much needed. Genji buffs were needed. And yeah, some other minor things. So there you are. And you go. That was a quick look at the patch. Let's play some games. Let's do it.